Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the WellMed Charitable Foundation Caregiver Teleconnection Series. Today, we have Sharon Hall, who's going to talk to us about frontotemporal dementia and maybe all dementias, and what some of the rules of the road that she has learned that might make your life easier. And Sharon, we're so happy to have you. Thank you so much for being with us today. Would you tell people who you are a little bit and begin your
Sure,
presentation? Okay, thank you.
sure. Thanks for having me. I sort of discovered there are some rules that if you follow them and you're taking care of someone with dementia, your life gets a little easier. And so I always like to share with caregivers anything that I learn and that they have tested out and find that they work. And sometimes people don't tell you these things unless you're talking to somebody that is caring for someone with dementia. So I've put these sort of rules together, and that's kind of an easy way to remember things. Some of you may be early in the process, some of you may be later in the process, but for the most part, we're going to be talking about that whole scope of things. So that's me. I'm Sharon Hall, and I am a care partner to my husband Rod, who has frontotemporal dementia. But when we are in the dementia world, we all sort of have the same things that we sort of deal with. So no matter what dementia you're dealing with, these rules of the road can hopefully help you. I do webinars for WellMed quite a bit, actually. So it's been a wonderful partnership for all these years. So let's get started and try to make your life a little easier. How about that? Rule one, make a plan. Now, if you're new to this, or even if you're into it and you haven't seen an elder law attorney, that's a really important step. And I'll tell you why. Because an elder law attorney has specialized training to set you up if you happen to need Medicaid down the road so that you are not as impoverished as you might be if you just let nature take its course. So those elder law attorneys are certified elder law attorneys, not estate planners, and they will know all of the Medicaid qualifications in your state. And that's why it's really important. Some people need a trust, some people don't. It just depends on your circumstances and how your state looks at your assets. And that's why an elder law attorney is important. You also definitely need a financial power of attorney and healthcare power of attorney. Now, let's talk about that a little bit. The power of attorney and the healthcare power of attorney, oftentimes a married couple, they will each be each other's power of attorney. I would not suggest that you have your person with dementia be your power of attorney. So think about this when you have these papers drawn up. Who would you want it to be? Oftentimes it's children. I have both my son and my daughter-in-law as my power of attorney for both healthcare and financial. And I made it right away that they have that power of attorney immediately. They don't have to wait for some event for me in order to be me as a power of attorney. And I did that luckily because I had a little incident in 2017. And I said, grab the paperwork so you could talk to the doctors. And they did. And so that was very beneficial that I didn't have to go through anything to get that power of attorney instituted for them on some event. So I made it from the beginning. So just some things to think about. Who do you want as your financial power of attorney and your healthcare power of attorney? And you probably will be that for your person with dementia. There's also advanced directive or post most. Let me tell you the difference. Everybody talks about an advanced directive. And yes, you can do that. Oftentimes in our state, in Georgia, you could go online and fill one out, and that suffices. Now, the difference between that and something called a post or a post or most is a physician's order for life sustaining treatment. And what that means is it is 100% bulletproof. Sometimes in an advanced directive, if you're in a situation of an emergency, an EMT is going to do resuscitation. That's their job. If you have a post or a most that says, no, no intervention, then they won't. It's the only time that they cannot do life-sustaining treatments as an EMT. So keep that in mind. It's every state will have one. As I said, sometimes it's a POLST, physician order, or sometimes it's a MOLST, uh, medical order. So it depends on the state, what they call it, but that is definitely something that they cannot go against for any reason. And most people don't know that when they have an advance directive, they think it's going to be done exactly the way they want, but that's not always the case. So just so you're aware of that. Rule number 2, this big one, this big star on the left here, live in their world. They can't live in yours, and make them the star. So don't be fussing over things. You can hate the disease, but don't hate the person. What they're saying or doing that's upsetting you is their brain. That's the brain deteriorating. They're not doing it intentionally to hurt you. And Dasha Kipper wrote a book called Travelers to Unimaginable Lands. And she looks at it like if you're reacting in a negative way, maybe there's something in your past that you're actually reacting to and not the person. So hate the disease, not the person. I hate FTD. Believe me, I would love to see it go away forever. But and as difficult as some of the things that happen with my husband and behaviors, I still love him. I hate the disease. So that's a really important one. Agree. Don't argue. You can't win. You will never win an argument against a broken brain. So if you say, I just told you that, you might as well turn to the wall and say, I just told you that, because it doesn't mean anything to the person that has dementia. Why argue? Let it go. You got to learn to let it go when you're taking care of someone with dementia. Some people have a hard time doing that, but practice makes perfect. And if you try it once and see that it works, then your life gets a little easier. Apologize. Learn to take the blame. I am so sorry. That was all my fault. I shouldn't have done that and made you angry. I'm really sorry. There's nowhere for an argument to go. But if you say, you're wrong, I did do that, and where does that go? It escalates. It escalates. Learn to take the blame and apologize. It's no skin off your teeth. We all know that it wasn't your fault, actually, but take the blame anyway because it makes your life easier. And that's the goal. Make your life easier. I always say that our jobs are to keep our people safe and to keep ourselves sane. And this is a way you do that. You learn to take the blame. You apologize. I am so sorry. That was all my fault. I'm sorry I upset you. There's nowhere for that to go. There's no arguing back. It will get dropped. If they keep it up, say, I know, it was all my fault. I'll try not to do that again and move on. Live in the moment. Live in the moment. You can plan for the future, but you live now. And don't look too far ahead. Don't say, oh, when am I going to have to change diapers? That you don't know if you ever will. People can pass away from other things when they have dementia and not even get to the point where they may be incontinent. So don't put something in your basket before it belongs there. Deal with it when it comes, find out the resources when it comes, but don't live there. Live now. Enjoy every moment you can. Rule 3, here you go. Keep them safe. Keep you sane. This is the goal, to keep you sane. What makes us insane? It makes us insane when people are accusing us of doing things that we didn't do, or telling us that we never told them something, or all of the other behaviors that might come up with dementia. But to keep ourselves sane, we go back to that rule number 2 and say, let it go, let it go. You apologize, you take the blame, you move on, and you stay sane. That's the goal, keeping yourself sane. Turn a no into a yes. What the world does that mean? A lot of times people with dementia will get in a loop. They'll be in this loop and they'll say, I need to go to the store. I need to go to the store. We need to go to the store now. Please take me to the store. I need to go to the store now. They're in a loop. They're in a loop. Ride the loop. Let stuff go. You turn that, no, I can't take you now. I'm in the middle of something. Turn it into, that sounds like a really good idea. And I'm going to work to get us to the store as soon as possible. So look for those things that you can turn that no into what sounds like a yes. So you're saying, I'm not going to take you to the store now because I'm busy. That's going to get you nowhere. It's going to get you insane, is what it's going to do. And so you have to come up with things in your mind of how to do this deflection with making a no into a yes. You have to let go of, you can't have an ego when you're caring for someone with dementia. Your ego is not significant at all. And you just have to learn to deal with that. Your friends know that what you're going through. Your friends know that you weren't responsible for some of the things that you have been blamed for by a person with dementia. You stole my purse. I can't find my purse. You stole it. I know you did. I'm so sorry you feel that way. I'm going to help you look for it. Those are the kinds of things. Calm, quiet voice, make a no a yes. If they're wanting to go somewhere, I'm certainly going to take you there. Let me arrange that and I'll tell you when we're ready to go. Just use those tools to change that no into a yes so you're not being confrontational. Don't be confrontational with a person with dementia. First of all, they don't understand that you're being confrontational. And what they're saying is the most important thing in the whole wide world. And that's just the way it is. So you have to adjust. They can't. And the only thing, you see that lower right-hand corner there? The only thing that limits you is your ego. Get rid of it. Just temporarily, just for the moment. You can go outside and scream into the night. That's fine. You can say, that's it. I need respite and go away for a few days. Those things are all fine. But when you are in the situation with the person with dementia, let go of that ego, make a no a yes, try to keep things as calm as you can. That's what makes everybody happy. It makes the person with dementia happy, and it makes you happy and sane. That's the goal. Be sane. You have to learn their triggers. People with dementia have triggers. And you see this a lot when someone is in care. Just think about this in care. There are some things that they're really, if somebody came at you and started taking your clothes off to give you a shower and didn't explain to you what was going on, what, you think you'd swat at them? I would. So this is something that needs to be learned by people that are in care centers, that these people have triggers. Don't just come at people. You have to do it in the right way. There are annoying people. There are people that don't understand, but you have to learn what triggers them and try to keep those situations out of your day. So if someone is annoying to your person, don't have them come around all the time because you're just asking for a trigger to be set off. Places can also be triggers. Loud noises are not good for people with dementia. So you might say, oh, Dad always loved going to the baseball game. So I'm going to take him to the World Series. You know how many people are there? You know how loud it is? You know how hard it is to get into the stand? Let it go. Let it go. There are loud noises. It's crowded, long waits. Not good. You're going to trigger someone with dementia. if you don't adhere to these types of things and look for the ways of avoiding those things. Sometimes we can't. Sometimes we're in a situation, we might be going to a doctor's office and they're delayed and you're sitting there for longer than you want to. Well, you have two options then. You either try to handle the situation and say, oh, the doctor had an emergency. I'm so sorry for those people, aren't you? And try to calm that down that way, or go up to the reception desk and say, I'm very sorry, but my person with dementia can't be waiting long. So can we reschedule this because we're not going to be able to stay this long? Make sure you understand that you're the one that has to change the situation. You are the person that has to change that situation. And when you learn, you will learn their triggers. You will learn, if you pay attention, you will learn when they lash out, why they lash out. And you will have these scenarios in your mind to come up with the words that help that situation and calm that trigger, because everybody has them. Things can be a trigger too. A confusing menu, oh my goodness, that can cause chaos. I cannot have Rod go to someplace like a Wendy's and look at that big menu. There's no way. So what we do anytime we're going out to eat, this is 2024. You can find every menu for every restaurant online. So you go online, you look at the menu, you talk about where you're going for dinner. These are their options. Oh, I think you would like that grilled chicken on a Caesar salad. Doesn't that sound good to you? Then when you get there, you're in charge. You say to the person that's waiting on you, I'll be the person ordering everything. I will be talking about the dressings on the salad. I'll be talking about the drink. Come to me. You can even say, if the person is comfortable and you're comfortable, to say, my partner has dementia and I'll be the person ordering for them. It depends on your situation. Each thing is sort of singular to your person and the way that you do things. So you have to, not everyone is going to have the same thing that they're talking about or the same way that they're handling things, but you have to find what works for you. But the one thing that will never work for you is going into a McDonald's or a Wendy's and say, okay, tell me what you want. There are 752 choices, and then you have to make choices on the additional things you have to have. This is not something that a dementia person can handle. So you need to handle it. Before you walk in, you say, is it a cheeseburger today, or would you rather have a chicken sandwich? And that's the other thing. Keep it simple. Two things. Don't be complicating it. Say, well, they have chicken nuggets, they have hamburgers, they have doubles, they have quarter pounders. No, you give them a choice of two. Would you like a hamburger or would you like chicken? They're making a decision on their own to tell you what they want. You're not the person pushing something on them, but you know what they like. So if they say chicken and you know that they like a grilled chicken sandwich, you know that that's what you're going to order. You know your person, but learn their triggers. When they have too many choices, it's not a good thing. And this is at home too. So if you're talking about dinner, say, oh, what would you like for dinner? Let's see, I have spaghetti in there, and oh, I have a pork loin, and oh, I think I have some burgers too. And oh, wait a minute, I also have, no, 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 no. That's not what you do with someone with dementia. You say, would you prefer to have chicken or beef for dinner? Chicken or fish for dinner? Two things, this or that, not a laundry list of choices that they cannot process past the first two. So make sure that when you're speaking to someone with dementia and asking them about their preferences, that you choose two things and present them with only those two things. Menus can be very, very frustrating for people with, and some of these menus are like, 25 pages long. You're just turning the pages and I get confused at those stupid menus. And by the time you look at the whole thing, you don't even know what you want. So if you do it in the calmness of your home and you look at the menu and you discuss what the choices are that they might like and pick between two, That's the way to calm the situation when you're in a restaurant or they're having to make decisions at home on what they want to eat or drink. So make sure that you keep things very simple. That's what keeps them engaged, and they cannot handle a laundry list of choices. Don't isolate. People have a tendency to isolate. I know that's true because other people sometimes don't like to be around a person with dementia. I think sometimes they think it's contagious. Sometimes they just don't know what to say. Sometimes they don't care for the person that this person has become, and they kind of go away. But that doesn't mean you should isolate. Get out, take a walk, go shopping, unless of course they have those slippery fingers and take stuff off the shelf and put it in their pockets. Then you're going to have to watch that. But do things. Don't isolate yourself. Get out in the sunshine, get out in the fresh air, just have a nice leisurely stroll. If you have to push them in the wheelchair, push them in the wheelchair. But don't isolate. Don't stay in your home and not have contact with others. Be out there. There are cards that you can get that can say, my person has dementia, please be patient. You can print them out yourself on cardstock and hand them to people if you have that issue of not saying dementia in front of your person. I'm very fortunate that my husband will say to people, I have dementia, and then guess how they react? They laugh because he doesn't look like he has dementia. I'm not quite sure what that actually looks like, but most people, when you hear the word dementia, they think about an older person sitting in a wheelchair, not knowing their family. That's the picture everybody paints. That's not reality. Some people look extremely normal, normal than some people that call themselves normal. And so they don't see that. And so, when my husband's case, he says, I have dementia, and they laugh. They laugh. They think that he's kidding. But we don't kid about dementia, but we do talk about it. And we will tell people. But if that's not your choice, you certainly can have those cards to discreetly hand to a server or discreetly hand to the grocery store clerk, whatever you need to do to let that person know that please be compassionate. Once you let them know that, that's on them, not on you. If they don't accept that, that's on them. They have to get up in the morning and look at their uncompassionate face in the mirror. Don't worry about other people. Only worry about you and the person you're caring for so that you can keep them safe and yourself sane. You're going to have to walk away from a lot of situations, but still get out. Find mutual interests. If they love bird watching, if they love the garden, be involved in that. Get people out. And I understand that there are people that just leave me alone and let me watch TV all day. Sometimes that's just fine. If that person wants to sit and watch TV all day, is it hurting you? Are you losing a limb because of it? I don't think so. So sometimes they just need that time to decompress and not have to think about anything or talk about anything. They're just watching their favorite show. And if they're watching movies all day, so be it. They need time to rest. Their mind needs time to rest. But if you could find mutual interest to go out and do things like bird watching or gardening, you also can use adult day centers. You have to find a good fit. They're not all the same. And also find a support group. Very important. You will learn more from people who are involved with the disease on a daily basis than you will learn from any professional you see. So find a support group. Some people are like, oh, I don't need that. I don't need to talk about my problems. That's not what you're talking about. You're talking about how do I handle this new thing in my life that's changing the way our relationship is. So think about that support group. Some people sort of fight that, but I highly, highly recommend it. I didn't have one that was available to me as often as I needed it. So I started one. I started one on Zoom, and we do 2 days a week because FTD people are needy. Well, caregivers are needy. We deal with a lot of stuff with FTD. And sometimes we just need to talk to our people who understand what we are going through. So a support group's really important. On the day center, oftentimes, if you're dealing with someone with a younger onset, it's hard to find a fit. There are a couple of ways to help you get a person to a day center. Sometimes people will say to the person, you know, XYZ is looking for people to volunteer. And I think you're so good with people. Do you think maybe you'd be interested in going and helping them a little bit with the people that they serve every day? Sometimes that works for people. So you're saying to the person, you're going there to be a helper. You're not going there to be helped, because most people with dementia don't think they need any help, and they're going to fight that. I don't need to go down and sit with a bunch of old people and do coloring. Well, if that's all they do in that day center, then that's not for you. My husband went to a day center that had a garden. He was able to go out and plant. He was able to do things in the garden because that's what he loved to do. You find the day center that meets your needs. Some people even go as far as to pass money. They say, I found you a little job. You can make your own money and you can spend it any way you want. So let's go and be interviewed and see if this job is for you. And then you go there and you're taking care of all of that, and you pass the money to the people at the center. They're sometimes very used to that. At the end of the day, they pass it back to your loved one. And when they come out, they say, oh, how much did you get paid today? They pull out the $20 bill and say, oh, would you like to go for ice cream with your $20? That's the way to handle getting somebody into a day center sort of under the table. Either they think they have a job there or they're volunteering. So oftentimes a day center will be very conducive to having those things come up. So think about some of the ways that would motivate your person. Are they a person that loves to volunteer? Are they a person that wants to make their own money and they're so mad that they don't have a regular job anymore? It depends on who they are and what their values are. And then you work off of that and you get them to go to a place based on what they want. So that's always the goal. Always the goal is to make the person with dementia as happy and peaceful as possible. That's why I say you get rid of your ego. You think outside the box. You come up with things that you know are going to trigger them and you know what to say. You don't go to a restaurant with a big, huge menu and say, oh, come on, will you pick something already? What good is that going to do? That does no one any good. You make the arrangements to look at that menu prior. So it's the same with a day center. You go look, you see what they're doing. If they sit and color all day and you know that's just not working for your person, then look for something else. Talk to the staff. Say, he really wants to have a job. So if I give you an envelope with money in it in the morning, could you give it to him in the afternoon when he's ready to go home? Or she, works both ways. And oftentimes they will be very gracious to do that. And they will treat the person when they're there like they are a helper. They might have them set the table for lunch or get the drinks, something that they are capable of doing, and they feel like they are employed. So these are all little tricks that you need to keep in the back of your mind when you're trying to A, get respite, and B, not isolate, because they don't want to be isolated either. So giving a person something to do is always a good thing, even if it's just getting in the car and taking a drive and looking at fall is coming. Go look at the leaves, get in the car and go look at the leaves. Do something to get out and hopefully talk to other people. But have those cards if you're not comfortable saying that your person has dementia, or saying, my person has dementia, and please be gracious. So those are some of the things that you have to do to not isolate. Don't isolate. It makes you an angry caregiver, and it makes the person with dementia feel like nobody cares about them. So it's really important not to isolate and to be we live in a community, we live in a 55 plus community, and people here know that Rod has frontotemporal dementia, and sometimes they can be pretty disinhibited. Sometimes they can say things that are inappropriate, but they know that. And I've told everyone, I actually spoke to the to the whole center and said, this is what we are dealing with. I understand that something he says may offend you, but if that's the case, just say, nice talking to you, Rod, and turn around and walk away. That's all. That's all you have to do. If you see him, avoid him. That's okay. It's okay. It's okay if you don't know how to deal with that. That's fine. I get it. But we're not staying in our apartment because you're uncomfortable. This is a disease of the brain. They can't fix it. I can't fix it. So you either are compassionate or just turn around and walk away. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. Just don't, if you see him coming, go the other way. That's fine. I don't care. But we're not going to sit in our apartment and act like we're not part of this community. So get over yourself. I'm a little tough. Asking for help should be your superpower. If you are asking, you are ready. This is really a stressful journey. We're losing the person that we love and are taking care of. That's hard enough. But then we have all the extra responsibilities. So when you are a couple or even a mother and daughter, you have certain things that you know that this is the way we do things, but you can't be so against having someone else in the house. It's really important to try to have help come early on and get used to that fact. So you can go to the grocery store by yourself. So you can have a day out with your friends and go out to lunch and maybe get a manicure and pedicure just so you can get away. So that help is really necessary. A lot of people say, "Oh, can I do it? What can I do for you? What can I do for you?" Some people have a list ready and say, it really would be beneficial if you do this. Or, gosh, the lawn hasn't been mowed and I haven't had time to get out there. Do you think maybe you could just run your mower over the grass for me? Be ready. If people are saying, what can I do to help? They're offering you help. So don't say no. This is a hard one. A lot of people have, there again, we go to the ego. A lot of people have the feeling that, no, I can't ask people to do things for me. If they're asking you what they can do, tell them. If they don't do it, okay, that's fine. If they don't have time or they just set it to be nice, that's fine. That's fine. But you never know when that person is going to say, here I am. I'll give you an example. I had a broken femur, believe it or not, while caring for two people with dementia. My mom was living with us at the time as well. And I broke my femur. I was in a wheelchair. So I contacted my neighbor and I said, do you think maybe you could put together like a little meal train? I can't get to the stove. They can't cook. And we're getting sick and tired of ordering pizza every day. Well, lo and behold, my neighborhood, she put out the word. We were fed dinner for a month. Someone came to our home with a dinner every single night. Ask for help. It's okay to ask for help because you would do it for someone else. So what makes you think you should deny that person the right to do something for you? People want to help. So let them help. Ask for help. Always be on the ready for when someone says, oh, is there something I can do for you? Oh, gosh, yes, there certainly is. Be ready for that. Take the help. You're not Superwoman or Superman. You can't do it all. And if you think you can, guess what? The statistics for you are very bad. The statistics are somewhere between 20 and 40%, depending on which study you're looking at, of care partners die before the person they're caring for. You know why? Stress. Stress. because you're trying to do it all and you're not asking for help and you're not reaching out and you're not looking to have somebody come in the home for a few hours twice a week. That's on you. That's on you. And you have to be able to do that, or that stress will become so significant in your life that it will affect your health. And then what good are you to anybody? There, that's it. So don't be that statistic. Let that ego go. When someone says, "What can I do for you?" Tell them. I had somebody recently say to me, "I'm going to send you dinner. Tell me what you like." I said, "Well, we're not fussy." It's kind of how do you say to somebody, "Oh, yes, give me a prime rib with a baked potato and sour cream." I'm not going to do that. So I said, "Well, we're not fussy. It's okay. Well, what kind of food do you like?" I said, "Oh, well, we have a little barbecue place on the corner that we really enjoy. So I'm thinking that we're going to get a couple of sandwiches, maybe some fries. That would be wonderful. I would be very grateful for that." They come to the door, the place comes to the door with this huge bag. So this person got us $127 worth of barbecue. It was like a buffet. We ate for days on it. And she just was grateful that she had found the support group and that she learned some things and was able to handle the dementia, and she just wanted to repay it in some way. I'm not gonna deny her that. I felt very blessed by it. I thanked her profusely. I took pictures and said how wonderful it was and how much we enjoyed it. But that's okay. She wanted to do that. She could have gotten a couple of sandwiches. It would have been just fine. But her desire was to give this to us. Let her do that. Let people help you. They want to. Let them. Don't say, "Oh, everything's fine. I got this." No. If they're saying, "How can I help?" Please tell them. That should be your superpower. Always be ready when people are willing to help you. This is a hard one for most people. Don't sweat the small stuff. Don't don't get caught up in the small stuff. If somebody yells at you, that's small stuff. You just apologize, like we saw in the previous rule. Just apologize. Don't sweat the small stuff. There's always going to be small stuff. And really, almost everything is small stuff. You just have to have the way to handle things. Yes, you will get frustrated. I get frustrated. I'm not perfect. I'm a human. And sometimes things happen and I go, "Oh," but that's for me to go somewhere and go, "Ugh," in the car or in the grocery store, not to my husband, because it's small stuff. I get frustrated. I'm human. Some things he does, I just want to shake him. But I work around it. I take the blame. I apologize. And then I go in the car and scream. That's okay. That's fine. But don't sweat the small stuff. That's what gives you stress. That's what builds stress for you, is when you sweat the small stuff. So stop doing that. And think about, I always say, is anybody going to die? If nobody's going to die, it's small stuff. Simple as that. So don't get all overworked up about things that are just really small. And maybe you're frustrated and tired and just don't want to deal with it anymore. But that's why you're reacting that way. But don't sweat the small stuff. I left a lot of time here for you guys to ask questions. We have a little more than 15 minutes here, and just wanted to see if anybody has any questions. If not, I'll just keep talking and bore you to death.
So, hi, I have a question.
Mhm.
What if you're dealing with um, family members who disrupt your caregiving like schedule to where it's really disruptive and it creates another added level of stress, and there's no way to have a reasonable conversation with them, because they it's kind of like they're a narcissistic personality and
Hmm.
kind of self-centered, and it's really really hard. But I think what I'm going to try is, like you say, is just try to not sweat it. But it's hard because it affects the caregiving.
You set the rules. You're the person that sets rules. So if there's somebody that just drops by unannounced, you let them know, I'm sorry, but you just can't drop by unannounced because that's part of this disease. It disrupts things, and I really can't have that. So will you text me if you think you're going to be coming, and I can tell you if it's a good time or not. But don't let other people rule you. You're in charge. You're the person that's navigating this. Don't let people walk all over you. There's no reason for them to. Stand up for yourself and say, I'm sorry, but you dropping by is not convenient right now. Can we talk about a different time? It's fine. That's fine. If they, sometimes people in our families are not so nice, and they will sometimes tell you that you're not doing the right thing. That's a time when you say, oh, I'd love to bring Joe over for the day. What day is convenient for you? So, so you're tossing it back. You're saying, you're telling me I don't do caregiving well? Guess what? You're going to do it for a day. See how you like it. See what happens. So stand up for yourself. If people are telling you that you're not doing something right, or why don't you do this, or why don't you do that? The other thing is, why don't you, eat peanut butter every Tuesday and his brain will get better. Yeah, right. In that kind of situation, it depends on who it is. If it's family, you're going to deal with it one way. If it's a friend, you're going to deal with it in a different way. So there again, just like knowing your person, know the person that you're talking to as well. So that's really, I'm going to stop sharing this unless somebody needs to. Make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Anybody
Evelyn,
else?
you're muted.
Sorry. I have two chats for you. One was early on, and someone asked, what's the difference between a DNR and an advanced care directive and a POST or MOST?
Okay, so a DNR and an advanced directive, an EMT that comes to your house will not adhere to that. They're trained to do life-sustaining treatments. They're going to do compressions on the chest. They're going to do things that prolong them getting to the hospital. That's their goal. The POST or the MOST, if you have that and you say, I have a POST, they have to follow that. That is a physician's order. So if it says on that physician's order, there's not to be any resuscitation, then they don't do it. So that's the difference. People get kind of confused by that. They'll say, in fact, when my husband was in a day center that was medical, I gave them the POST. And they said, well, but if we call 911, they're going to have to. I said, no. If they call 911, you show them this paper. This is his desire. This is a physician's order that you cannot do this. So that physician's order is as legal as it gets. And sometimes a DNR or an advanced directive can be a little iffy, especially if you have family involved and they're kind of saying, well, no, you got to do everything.
Okay. I have a very interesting one here from Ruth. What to do? 100 years old in a nursing home, 4 workers for 35 patients. All workers speak only Spanish. And the only way to communicate is via smartphone translators. Is this place even legal?
Well, that's a good question. Assisted livings and memory care are all private organizations. They're not controlled. The only place that is controlled by your state would be a nursing home, because they accept Medicaid. So there you have some ombudsmen that you can go to express concern about what's happening. But if it's an assisted living or a memory care, that's private pay. That's not part of Medicaid. That's not controlled by your state. Oftentimes that becomes glaringly obvious when you try to call somebody and say, this is what's happening. But if it's a nursing home, you can certainly go to an ombudsman in your state, and there's one in every state, and go to the Division of Aging, and usually you can find that ombudsman and tell them what's happening and what's going on. What is that person being abused? Are they not getting the care they need? What's happening? But other than that, when you're working with a private company, you either have to find another private company that isn't like that, or you have to live with where you are, because it's a private company and they can do what they want, unfortunately.
Okay, I've got another one for you from Andre. Dear Sharon, what a wonderful presentation, both personal and rational. Nothing like having a ground soldier to teach about the way of the land. Congratulations and all my appreciation for your wisdom, your wit, your gusto for love and life. I concur with that one. We also have
Thank
one. Thank you. This has been very helpful. I greatly appreciate your humor and wisdom. I am singing Let It Go.
Yep, everybody that's caring for someone with dementia should know that Frozen song, because when something happens, you play it in your head, Or some of the people in my support group would say, what would Sharon do? So that keep those things in your mind. That Frozen song, let it go, just let it go. And I understand, we're all human. We all have these days when we just want to run out the door screaming and never come back. But that's why it's important to have respite. Respite is definitely something that every care partner should plan on a regular basis. It's always good to get away for at least 2 nights, because the first night you're not decompressing much. By the second night, you're a little more relaxed. So look at that respite.
We got a few more minutes, folks. More questions, more comments, more suggestions from your own experience that you might want to share with others.
I see somebody just said, let go my ego. Whatever it takes, whatever works for you. A lot of it is, a lot of it's personal. It's what works for you and what works for the person. But I always say to people, some people are very resistant, and the therapeutic fiblets, that's a big one too. Sometimes we just have to have a therapeutic fiblet, and some people say, oh, I'm never going to lie to them. Okay, live in your world. Good luck. I'm sure we'll be one of those statistics one day, because your stress is going to be really big. So, those are the kinds of things that you have to think about. So.
I got a question.
Sure.
I'm caretaking for 2 people, my 84-year-old sister and my wife, who is in a memory care unit, 64 next week on her birthday. What should I get her for her birthday?
What does she like to do?
She likes to run, walk, run, and walk. And
Well,
when I had her
maybe
at
you
the
can.
house, she ran away from the house, and she was 4 miles at the gym where I found her.
Oh my
Oops.
Uh,
Usually a memory care will have some place to go outside. So go outside and walk.
They don't where she
They
is.
don't?
No, they have a sunroom. It's on the 2nd floor.
Well, maybe
So
you can take her out and go to a park.
that's a great idea.
So and there again, you're getting out, you're not isolating, and you're getting her out, as long as she's not a person that when you get her back won't get out of the car. That's a different kind of situation. You know, if they're saying, take me home, that's a little different. You have to look at the situation. But if you're comfortable with taking her and going to a park that has a nice walking trail, just go take some sandwiches in a bag and sit down on the bench and have yourself a little bit of lunch and look at the birds. And that's really a good thing to do. So
I'm gonna do that. That's a great idea.
And keep a
good,
hand
good.
on her.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Denise, did you want to talk to us?
No, I was just thinking of fidget toys. If somebody is interested, if they're, you know, what you can get somebody for gifts is, you know, fidget toys or any type of things that help them become more independent.
Yeah, it really depends on the person.
Hmm.
It's always pretty personal with that. And remember that people's things change. I'll tell you another thing that I don't know if is she a big animal lover, Forrest?
No, not particularly. No.
Okay, because you know they have those pets now. There's a cat and a dog, and it's very realistic. And some people in memory care really like those. It gives them something to, or some women, dolls work really well, and because it's something to take care of. It's something that they can take care of because women are very nurturing for the most part.
Yeah, I'll
And
buy her a fuzzy bear or something for
yeah,
birthday too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, depends on where she is in her progress, what she's willing to accept, all that kind of matters what you get.
Let me ask you another one, unless I'm hogging. My wife, her brother, who was, I guess, 10 years older than her, 8 years older, her cousin, all passed away very early, 50 years old, 60 years old, 62 years old, and then my wife is turning 64. She's outlived all of them. I think I cook very well and eat a lot of spinach and kale. So she may live a long time. I didn't really have a question. That's just more of a statement, but it's just, oh, I know what it was. And her younger sister refuses to have any planning, long-term care insurance, any thoughts, but the entire family, and it has some Native American background, but they all had FTD and passed. So is anything, thoughts that I might suggest to her younger sister? Or should she just ignore it until she finds out she didn't get it, or she did get it and then she's not prepared?
What's her living situation? Does she have a partner? Is
She
she
has a husband. She's a school teacher, and that she's healthy right now.
well, sometimes you can do it like, you know, I read this article and we really need to do some planning. The husband can do that. We really need to do some planning. So I would like to do it, and I would really like it if you came with me. A lot of times that will open the door if the other person or the other partner says, wait, I really want to do this. Or I talked to somebody at work and oh my goodness, what they got into because they didn't have plans. And it kind of scared me. I think maybe we should go and make some plans. And sometimes that kind of thing works. There again, things are very personal to the person that you're dealing
Yeah.
with. But that's sometimes, you know, or sometimes they'll listen to somebody outside of that partner better. So somebody else in the family might come along and say, you know, Mary, I was talking to somebody at work and oh my gosh, you can't believe what happened to them because they didn't have any plans in place. And oh my gosh, it was terrible. Do you have plans in place? I'm going tomorrow to do it. I don't know about you. You want to come with me? So it depends. You know, you have to think on your feet for this stuff. You got to think outside. See
Sure.
Peggy laughing. Peggy knows me. See, she knows that I'm a little crazy, but
Well, Sharon, I would just want to thank you so much. You crack me up because you're giving so much really important information, but you do it in such a fun way that it's not, you know, it doesn't feel depressing. It doesn't feel like a demand. It feels like, boy, this worked for me. I hope this works for you. And it was great. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Well, I
Yes.
appreciate you having me, and I hope all of you gained a little something and can think about some of those things to get in your brain before things happen and you can't come up with the words. Practice, practice.
And
Thanks for
is
having
it
me.
okay with you if we send out your slideshow?
Sure.
Okay, we'll send that out to folks after this conversation. And Nora, hang on one second. And we'll also send some resources for ways to find support groups and ways to find respite. So you get a couple of those too. And I might have time to tell you about our 2 last sessions, but let's talk to Nora first. Still want to talk, Nora?
I wasn't saying anything. I was just sending clapping hands.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
That's okay.
Thank
Yes,
you, Nora.
we have 2 new presentations coming up. One is totally in Spanish. I know somebody who shouldn't see that one. And that is about the difference in going to palliative care or going to hospice care. And it's all in Spanish, and it's particularly for Alzheimer's dementia patients. We have that's next month.
On that note, everyone that's taking care of someone with dementia can have palliative care from diagnosis. And all that is a care team that takes care of coordinating things. So don't get the 2 confused. That's not hospice.
Perfect, thank you. And then next Tuesday, we have family dynamics in caregiving, coping with conflict and engaging family members in care. And we get many, many questions about that, about why am I the only one who's providing care? Well, I can ask for stuff and they're busy. They live across the country. They don't have time. They've got children. There's all these excuses, but there are some people who can help you figure out how to kind of get them in there.
Well, here's the thing about that is that you're in charge, so you can get them to help. You just have to be in charge, and depending on who this person is, how much you communicate with them and how open they are. It's just like the person that comes showing up at your door or wants to tell you what to do. You can get people engaged by saying, I need help on this day, please come.
Or
let them say no to your face.
Take my person home.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that one. All right. I want to thank everybody. It's at the top of the hour and I'm going to close down the Zoom, but I want to just tell you all how much we appreciate your participation, your comments, the ideas that you give us. Sharon, you've been just a blessing. And I want to say that once again. Also, I want to thank the WellMed Charitable Foundation because they do so much for caregivers, like finding great experts who can explain things in very simple, wonderful ways. So more clapping. We got more clapping going on here.
Thank you. I hope everyone took something away that will be beneficial for them.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to stop the recording now. Just thank you all again for what you do every day.